Welcome to Nourishing the Mother, where inspired women talk about the journey of motherhood through the common thread of parenting, relationship, and sexuality as a path to consciousness. We ask, in what ways can we show up more fully, live more meaningfully, parent more wholly, and love more unconditionally? How can we mine the wisdom from the experiences of our lives and expand into those challenges? If you are here, you care about paving a path of conscious and intentional motherhood, connected with yourself and your gifts, and also illuminating your children in theirs, so we may raise more whole humans who can impact this world in a more humane way. And if you feel like giving a little back to this free content, please become a patron of the show and receive extra member benefits for less than a coffee a month. Or you can leave a review on iTunes and Facebook, all of which helps the podcast keep going and reach more mamas who need this type of tonic for the soul. Head on over to patreon.com/NTM podcast to find out more. We are Julie Tenner and Bridget Wood, and we are so grateful you're here.
Hello and welcome to Nourishing the Mother. I'm Bridget Wood.
And I'm Julie Tenner. And today's podcast is how your life is revealing yourself to you. So this is really going to be a conversation about story and how my last week has revealed so much of myself and sits largely upon what is ultimately a universal principle of whatever is conscious right now for you is literally the result of what has been previously unconscious to you. Which just blows my mind.
We could just have endless conversations on this because it is so mind-bending and often challenging to grasp.
So challenging. So we're really excited to have this conversation because it's something Bridgie and I riff on like almost continuously as we move down the rabbit hole of what that actually means. So we invite you into that rabbit hole journey today, and we hope that you really get something that allows you to, perhaps with a slightly greater level of mastery, to create the reality that you wish to see in the world. So before we do that, I'd love to remind you to jump onto nourishingthemother.com.au and sign up to join our community just with your email. And once every so often, we send you an email and let you know exactly what is going on in the world, so you don't miss out. You know exactly where everything is. And if you need to dive a little bit deeper, it's one click away. So nourishingthemother.com.au.
So Julie, tell us a little bit about your week.
Okay, so my week has been like shit crazy. Literally and figuratively.
I didn't want to say it.
I know. It's a little gross. So talking about manifestations. So when I started, because we've been working hardcore in January and February, we do hardcore stuff on setting your year. So setting your manifestations, doing your reconciliation on the previous year, and then pulling those down into really tangible, 30, 90, 12 month, 30, 90 day, and then 12-month plans, and what you actually really want to bring into manifested form this year. So we spent a lot of time doing that in Soul Driven Motherhood. I spend time doing it in the form of relationship and money in Honey Club. So it's been like this really big focus. So one of the things that I had on my vision board / manifestations was health. So when we talk about spinning plates, health has always been a really high one for me until last year. So last year, when my values shifted and what became a higher priority was my work in the world and really just getting through COVID. So by the time I did parenting in that form, work in the world, and I pretty much obliterated my body just to get done what needed to get done. And if you're not in Melbourne, I don't know that you will ever really understand what that was like to be in a literal lockdown for essentially 9 months of the year.
It was at least 7. It was a long time.
You just can't even wrap your head around it. But if you were in Melbourne, you know exactly what that was. So what I've witnessed is even this year when we went into a 5-day lockdown, people's PTSD and trauma has been triggered big time. And you can't just go, oh, it's just 5 days. Yeah. But what that was for us was 5 days, and then it was extended and extended and extended until it was a living nightmare for most people of 9 months. Like the stuff that happened in homes and in relationships and in work and finances for a lot of people was really heavy. And then by virtue of that, if you're a practitioner, you're dealing now in your work with some super heavy shit every day. And then you've just got your own sludge at home. Like it was the heaviest of heavy years.
It's like, it would blow out a lot of nervous systems.
It did. It did. And put a lot of people into trauma. So, and then on top of that, I was working more and I had 4 children at home. I was responsible for homeschool education and I wrote a book. Like it was batshit crazy and I wouldn't change any of it. But what fell off was my health. So I basically stayed in my masculine and just ran my body into the ground, which is what happens when you stay in the masculine. The masculine is not connected to the body. It's not the source of nourishment and replenishment. That is the feminine. So if you don't have a strong feminine connection or you're constantly returning to your body, you'll just use this vehicle and drive it into the ground in order to be in consciousness, right? That was my year. So by the time I kind of crawled my way to Christmas, health had become my top priority because I was like, I don't even feel like this is my body. I feel like I'm walking around in somebody else's body. Anyway, into this manifestation has happened much quicker than I thought. So we're about to round up to the 90 days, let's say, of the start of the year. And I thought I was manifesting some other shit. No, I have manifested health hardcore, which makes me realize probably unconsciously it's a much bigger value than I consciously want to say that it is.
Yeah, right.
Because it's basically my only manifestation. No, not my only, because my studio too. So my studio and my health are the only manifestations that have come into force in this first 90 days. So that says to me, super high priority. But it hasn't happened in this, like super conscious way.
In this like really nourishing kind of like.
It's kind of sideswiped me. So what was great was that over Christmas, I was working really hardcore with my homeopath and we were doing all of the tests and I found out about my adrenal exhaustion and I completely radically changed my morning routine. Funnily enough, one of my other manifestations was to really invest in an advanced practice with my spiritual meditation and growth and revisit that. So by virtue of the adrenal exhaustion and the changing my morning, that's manifested. And I didn't consciously, this is why you have to let go of form because who knows how that's coming to you. This is how mine's come to me. So I can see already. So I've manifested. So I was like, tick, okay, I'm already doing that. But by virtue of my health and feeling way better. So my adrenal exhaustion, my anxiety is way back down again, which feels amazing. And then we'd been ticking away with my practitioner on working on gut and healing deeper because there was bigger stuff going on. Anyway. So then last week it was my 15th wedding anniversary and out of the blue, because we'd just come out of this 5-day lockdown and I was like, Nick, we were supposed to, what were we doing? We were having our first, that's right, the first day that all of our children were going to be in kinder and school. Nick and I had planned a day out together. And then lockdown happened and we had all of the children at home. And I was like, fuck this shit. I'm booking a staycay, for our wedding anniversary. But we didn't even know if we were going to be able to go because of lockdown.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we went away and I found just an Airbnb literally in the middle of nowhere to the point where I was a dead zone, couldn't even get internet access.
And was that your intention?
No, well, I thought I was still going to be able to work because I actually love my work. It genuinely gives me energy. So, and Nick knows that. And he's like, so this is when I think we can see our partners and we want to fuel what makes them better. So Nick's like, yeah, of course I want you to go. I'm like, look, I've only booked in 3 lives and blah, blah, blah. And it's this and, he's like, yeah, of course. Yeah, I'll just like read a book or something while you're doing it. That sounds great. And then he knows I bring that energy back. So it's totally cool. Turned out dead zone, couldn't even work. So it was the middle of nowhere. It was absolutely fantastic. But it was 2 days, 48 hours of literally nothing. And I have literally, like, even when I do, in inverted commas, nothing, I'm still parenting 4 children.
Yeah.
That's not nothing.
So how did your like nervous system cope with nothing?
Oh no, I fucking loved it.
Okay.
I was like, whew. Although I think maybe I had too much sex. I'm not going to lie. There was part of me that was like, oh, I've read about this. Is this where I've like obliterated my soma?
It's a new level.
It's a new level. And even Nick, like, we walked out that 48 hours and we're like, oh my God, my back hurts. And we kept saying to each other, there's such a thing as too much. You know? So there was nothing and a lot of sex, which opens you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So nothing, lot of sex. And I think my body all of a sudden went, there's spare energy. So how about we like divert that? So in natural medicine, there's this thing that has always, when I think about it, it's probably one of the biggest fascination points for me. And I remember learning about it and watching it play out in like college student clinic. And it's always shown up in my life, this Hering's law of cure. And it's the universal, well, it's not a universal principle, but it's a law that he's basically stating that when we have symptoms that initially were acute but haven't self-resolved, they become chronic. And when they become chronic, they move further into the body in layers. It goes deeper and deeper. And there's often a string of conditions that are related, like a family tree. So when we're looking at symptoms in natural medicine, we also want to look at why they are manifesting right now and what's sitting underneath them. And so you look to essentially like unplugging a blocked sink. You're going to the base of that blockage and you're working it up through the layers back into something that becomes acute so that, like an emergency response, it can complete its cycle and fully resolve and leave the body.
And not stay buried.
Right.
Stagnant.
Right. So Hering's law of cure is essentially that. And what that means is that you essentially go backwards in time. So if you've had, you know, you started with, I don't know, food intolerance and eczema when you were a baby, and then you got asthma when you were 14, and now you've got blah, 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 you go back through that. So you would start with whatever the acute is, you'd get some asthma, you'd go back through eczema, and you'd go back through food intolerances, and then it would resolve. So you essentially go backwards through time. So it's one of the most fascinating things to see it play out. It's just
so fascinating. And then you just go, God, the body's wise.
Oh, it's extraordinary. Anyway, so I can see now why this manifested, but at the time didn't know what was going on. So that was Wednesday, Thursday, and we came home Friday about lunchtime. But Friday I was starting to feel really funky and got through my day because we still had to pick kids up from down the peninsula from grandparents. And then we still had to do basketball run and babysitters and all the things. And my digestive system was starting to go really weird. And I was like, oh God, I don't want to be getting sick. This is shit. Anyway, got it done, got home, went straight to bed and spent the entire night with the worst gastro I've ever in my life had.
That's
I
so
basically
bad.
spent the whole night on the toilet with a bucket.
Oh my God.
Like horrendous. And the worst cramps, I was like, I think I'm dying.
That feels like death. Like
Yeah.
Gastro like that.
Oh, horrific. But what was weird about it was I'm like at this point, oh, maybe it's gastro, but it was weird. And even as I'm vomiting, I'm mid-purge and I'm thinking about you because I remember you every time you've had gastro, you're like, I can see that I'm purging this and it's symptomatic of a purging. So even as I'm vomiting and all the things are coming out in all of the places, I'm like, what am I purging here?
It's actually fascinating to actually had to put that lens on it.
Yeah. I didn't quite get to what am I purging? I'm like, oh, maybe this, maybe this. But then I had this drop in this realization of, oh shit, I remember this from about 2 years ago. And I never really felt like I got rid of this parasite.
Oh, wow.
So even as I'm sitting there and I'm vomiting, I'm like, oh, I remember this. Okay. We need to like do this, like leave. It's time to leave my body. And every now and then when I've been a bit low grade, it's kind of like bubbled up and then come down again, like this weird kind of thing. Anyway, so the next morning I messaged my homeopath and said, look, here's what's happened. Do you think that this is a healing crisis or not? And she was like, could be. Let me know in 2 days. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
But unlike gastro, nobody else in my family got sick.
Yeah, well,
so it's not gastro.
That's a great sign that it's not gastro.
Not gastro. And I was wiped and could not. So I had diarrhea, what ended up being diarrhea for 6 days straight. And I couldn't eat anything. And I lived on bone broth for 7 days.
Wow.
So
how weak were you? Did you end up, or did you find energy? Because sometimes it's a little bit like a fast, right?
Yeah.
Like you actually get new
Well, so
layers.
this is interesting because unconsciously, as I'm writing my health manifestations, I'm like, I would really love to do a really proper detox because I like actually really fucking love that shit. But I don't want to have to be doing all of the things I really like. If I'm really going to detox, I really want to give myself, like I need to go away and do like a
proper detox,
at a place, at a facility of some sort, you know. Well, so on Saturday, I was like, I'm so bad. I'm going to cancel everything today. I'm sure I'm going to be okay tomorrow.
Yeah.
And Sunday, I was dog tired, but starting to feel a little bit maybe like I was getting better. And so I did a couple of clients then, but I woke up Monday morning dead, like just so wiped. And I literally had that moment in my head where I went, okay, this is the crossroads. I could choose to do what I did last year and deal with my body and still show up and do all of the things I need to do and be for all the other people. Or I could say and do the thing I've never done, even as a naturopath working in clinic, had to hide my illness because I felt so ashamed of the fact that I was sick. So I could see all of these old patterns. I could say to everyone, I'm sick. I need a week. I will get back to you at the end of the week and cancel all of the things, which is a lot for me. It's Queen School, Embark, private clients, everything, social media, everything. And I was so tired. I literally went out to him and said, I think I need a whole week just to, like, I have to, like, if I'm going to do this, let's do it. And he was like, yeah, totes, you're wiped. So I messaged everyone and it was so beautiful because I was thinking, oh, some people are like, there's some clients who that would not feel good for. But everybody was like, yeah, of course, my gosh, of course. Like, just please take the time. Like, it was so gracious that I thought this thing that I have struggled with since the beginning of being a naturopath 20 years ago, all of a sudden I'm doing the thing I've never done. And it's just met with ease. Like, there's something beautiful about that. That is beautiful
because just where you feel like there's a wall or a block, it's like, no, this is open here.
Yeah. There was something beautiful about that. So I was watching this going, oh, this is growth. Because me as a practitioner has never done that. So this is growth. And at the same time, really human. Like, I'm not hiding anything. I'm saying to everyone, I'm really sick. I'm pretty sure I'm having a healing crisis here. I'll see you in a week.
Yeah.
You know, and I've never done that. And that felt really beautiful. And then a synchronicity. So I was like, so this woman who secretly in the back recesses of her mind said, I'd love to detox, but I can't because I don't have time and I'm too busy and I still have to show up and I can't even think about what I have to eat. Turns out,
wow, here you go.
You get 6 days or 7 days of a hardcore detox where you don't have to think about food because all you can tolerate is bone broth.
Yeah.
So here you go, bone broth for 7 days. And you cancel all of your clients and create the space. Like, even that.
That's crazy.
I was like, crazy. And then it gets crazier. So I've done all of that. And my studio is completed on that Monday where I cancel all the clients. So then I actually can paint it and make it my space, which feels really honoring. So in between bouts on the toilet and needing to lie down and meditate to just get through the next 2 hours, I painted my studio and listened to music or whatever felt really good in my soul. Gwen was in here in the studio with me and she would just play, trains, or we'd set up something in here, whatever. And I spent the week working on this space, which is the next level practitioner for me, right? So this space is finished at the same time I'm doing this detox and purging whatever the fuck this shit is in my body.
It's like you almost needed to purge all of that to be ready to step into what this space is asking you.
Right. And then beyond that, I had already booked in Tara, the household advisor who does the stuff with us, to do my kitchen, because as part of my conscious manifestations of health, back in January, I had booked this in going, I know my kitchen at the moment is a shit show and my cupboards are crazy and I feel crazy in it. And that I can't, to be more healthy, I wanted a juicer, an air fryer. I couldn't fit them in. Don't want them on my bench. I needed to be able to have an easeful space for my sprouting and my bone broth and my kombucha. Like there was things that I needed to come back to the health that I had always known that my kitchen was completely dysfunctional for. And I want to feel good in that space. Like, and also metaphorically, if the kitchen is the gut, like it was a fucking mess.
Yeah, gosh, that's like
right.
So true.
And so I had already booked her in January for this Wednesday. It's the same week of my detox. And I thought about cancelling her because I knew it was going to be really hard. Because I knew, like, remember you with your study, I was going to meet fatigue and resistance. And I was already really fucking tired. But then when I really thought, okay, no, this is the gut. So how about while we're purging, we just like really clean this shit out. And then, so I messaged her Monday, said, no, we're locking it in. We're still doing it. I'll see you Wednesday. Tuesday, my mum messages me, one of my girlfriends is throwing out this entire box of clear containers. Would you like them? And I was like, thank you, universe. Yes, I will take those. And would you believe they were exactly the right number of clear containers I needed to sort my pantry?
You're kidding.
I'm not.
Oh my God.
Does that like blow your fucking mind?
I just didn't even have words for that. Like, okay.
Blows my fucking mind. So Tuesday, my mum walks in with this box of containers. I don't even want to know how much that was going to cost. Right. Just for me to do the kitchen. So Wednesday, Tara's here and we sort my kitchen and it's like fucking unbelievable. It is unbelievable.
I don't doubt that for a second. It will be incredible.
Oh my God. I have bare cupboards with nothing in them right now.
Oh my God.
I know. I bought an air fryer yesterday because now it will fit.
That's so good.
I know. She fitted, I bought this because I make my granola as well. I bought this 25 kilo bag of coconut flakes, not realizing how big that was. She fitted that in.
Oh my God.
I can't tell you. It's fucking crazy.
And you don't have a big kitchen. Like you have a
No, I mean, my house is small. Yeah. So my kitchen now just feels so feng shui. Like the air just moves through there. It's so great.
Yeah.
So that was Wednesday. Thursday, we finished the studio and Nick moves out here and out of my home.
Oh, wow.
Which is so great. And I have one cupboard left in my entire house. It's a shit show. And that was the bathroom. And I cleaned that on Friday. So here I am 8 days after my healing crisis. And I can feel just yesterday, which was day 8. So day 7, all of a sudden I went, okay, I can feel this is ending. Then yesterday for the first time had sort of regular digestive system, which I haven't had in, 12 months. And today I can tell you that there is not a space in my house now that's not completely ordered.
Wow.
Not one cupboard, not one corner. It is literally, I have literally since Christmas and now with Tara doing the kitchen and then I finished off the bathroom, it's completely clean. And this space that we're sitting in, which is now my studio, feels completely clean. And I have no fucking idea. Like I feel like I've done this shed and I'm back in that. I don't know who I am right now. And I don't know what this next version of my work in the world looks like. Like I'm back on the shaky ground again because but luckily I know this. I know this is a cycle, but I can feel this purge has just like got rid of everything at the same time as like chink, 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 all these things have come into place that I hadn't planned because you are literally unconsciously manifesting your now conscious, right? Like everything this week has been a thought, even that's just come in and come out of my head previously. Everything right now. Like I just find that crazy.
And this is also why I think that there's so much fallacy that is spoken in terms of, oh, don't worry about your thoughts, just let them float down like a river. Yeah, because your thoughts just come and go. No, your thoughts are creating stuff.
They really are.
And we don't like actually give them enough credence to what they are creating, and also give ourselves enough I guess presence to our power of creation. So thoughts aren't just thoughts. They're there. That's you talking to you. So what do you want to listen to? And what do you want to meet unconsciously down the track as well?
100%. 100%.
Which is deeply confronting. I don't say this without,
it's so confronting.
You know, without kind of like, you know, a lump in my throat, right? Like this is the nature of being human is fuck, like can we fully grasp like the magnitude of our power and our creations and be with that?
Yeah. Yeah. And even as you're going through something, even just having that little moment of awareness that goes, do I remember thinking about this? Like I feel into that part where I was like, oh, I wished I could detox. Don't have time.
Here's some time. So
I just find it fascinating. And then the orchestration of the world, like all of those things aligning in exactly that week. It's just, I just find it crazy.
Me too.
Like the synchronicity of it just blows my mind. And at the same time, it reminds me of how supported we are.
Yeah.
Like how loved we are, even in the stuff that's really fucking hard on a human level. How loved and supported you are, because the universe ultimately is always working towards the manifestations that it thinks you're wishing for.
Yeah. So it is a communication of love. Like how is what's playing out right now? And I say this to myself for where I'm at. How is it loving you?
Yeah.
Into something greater?
Well, I even loved because you and I are in a D-Martini mastermind, and there was a masterclass last week, which was on just that concept of grief also having an equilibrating opposite of relief. So the grief relief. And I even just love that. I'm like, yeah, even in the grief, there's a part of you that's relieved. Whatever you're grieving about. Yeah. Loss of a job, loss of a partner, loss of a loved one, loss of an identity, whatever. Yeah.
Like where is the kind of element of freedom in that?
Yeah. Where's the relief? I'm so glad I don't have to think about that anymore. Oh, well, now I've seen the scary monster, I don't have to be scared about seeing the scary monster. You know, like there's always this relief edge to it, which I find fascinating because, anyway, I think we're getting off topic, but I just find that fascinating in terms of we are so loved, and I think we rarely see it as such, right?
I love that. It reminds, this whole story that you've kind of shared here reminds me a lot of the words of Carl Jung, and he said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you'll call it fate. Because I don't really believe in fate.
No, I believe in destiny, not fate.
That you step towards through your
constantly choosing
and through your conscious
creating.
and unconscious creations.
Yeah. Carl Jung always delivers the goods.
Yeah. There's a Carl Jung quote for everything. And also, I think too, I mean, like his work on shadow.
Oh, epic.
Like unparalleled, really.
Yeah.
And to just bathe in a little bit of that and it ensures that you cultivate humility as a practice. So does all of this. Right? Kind of bow to something greater. Totally.
And we think we have control. Like we think we have control, and it's such a double-edged sword, isn't it? Because you control to an extent, but it's the same extent that you're out of control.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Like, I get that. Can you unpack that?
Well, I don't know. I just, as I'm sitting here, I'm going, so true. Like, we have control in that. So let's just break it down into me. So I wanted to detox, said I didn't have time. So I have a level of control in form of co-creation. So I've put out a desire, the universe is delivered, and then I realize how out of control I am.
And there's a universal,
even as I'm able to control in there, I'm still out of control.
So then there's a universal law that says the imposition of order is immediately initiates the escalation of chaos.
Right.
So that's that.
It is that.
Yeah. So that's why I always look at even what's going on. I mean, yes, in your body, yes, in your family, yes, but beyond that, in society, like the more that you try to come down and control people, you will initiate an underground movement, or you'll initiate retaliation in the form of chaos to counterbalance the level of control in order to seek homeostasis and come back into balance. It's just mind blowing. So then you go, how is this thing that feels so dysfunctional right now? How is this functional for the greater evolution of me, my family, my community, my society, my country, this world? From the micro to the macro.
Such a great question just to ponder, isn't it? It's the rabbit hole we're asking you to enter.
It is.
So we'd love you to jump into soul-driven motherhood with us this month if these universal laws and ways of really upskilling your consciousness to manifest with some degree of mastery as much as we can continue to evolve ourselves into. Then we're running Elixir, the Wisdom series, this month in March in soul-driven motherhood. It's just $39 for the entire month. There's 2 workshops and then 2 coaching sessions as we workshop you through some of these principles and practices that we also hope to continue on from there in our conversations.
And your access to soul-driven motherhood also gives you access into, we've got about 11 courses in there that are all in self-study mode. There's lots and lots of guest workshops and other workshops that we've run over the past, I think, 18 months now. So there's just so much great content to dive into. And so you can pay either monthly, or you can pay for 6 months at $222 or 12 months at $444. So there's a few different avenues in which you can join if you feel called.
Perfect. So you can find out more about soul-driven motherhood at nourishingthemother.com.au or on any of our social links at Nourishing the Mother on Facebook and Instagram. And to connect with you, Bridget?
It's bridgetwood.life.
You changed.
I've changed.
I love it.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, I've been toying with different domains, but part of my next evolution is moving away from suburban sandcastles and into my own creation that is me. And I feel like I was playing with all these different, what's the word for the thing at the end?
I don't know, whatever the .com thing is. Yeah.
Because I can't get .com and I can't get .com.au. So I was like, okay, what do I feel like my web represents? And I feel like it's so much about uncovering and deepening our experience of life and learning.
So great.
Yeah, so I'm excited.
Just say it again.
bridgetwood.life.
It's beautiful.
Thanks.
It was beautiful.
And to connect with you, Jules, is
julietenner.love. So we've got life and love.
Life and love. Oh my God.
How good is that?
That is amazing. Because so much of our you know how crazy that is? Do you know how crazy that is?
No, tell me.
We first had the idea of creating a podcast by listening to a podcast that was called
Love Life. Oh my God. That's so true.
Isn't that crazy? That was like 6.
Oh, that's a trip.
6 years ago or something.
No longer. It'd have to be 8 years ago because we were listening to them before, like when we were in playgroup and stuff.
Yeah. That is an amazing full circle.
That is freaking crazy.
Shit.
See, this is synchronicity of life, isn't it? Like you're never cast out in the way that you think you are. It's always a continuous returning, right?
Yeah. And the one that I've really been sitting with lately is like, when you feel deeply challenged, who is supporting you?
Yeah.
And I could cry at the amount of support that I have had lately, to the point that I wouldn't change the form. Like, because I can see the conservation of the challenge, like the challenge and support right now, and who has come into my world and valued what I do at the same time as someone's tearing me to pieces. I can't say it, I can't label things as wrong here, because yes, there's behaviors that I'd like to see change, but at the same time, I have to be willing to find the wisdom in it. Because also when I can find the wisdom in it, it's also able to change form and not be there in the current form. Because it's like when you see that you have everything already that you're looking for, what you're looking for can come in, because you're not in this place of like
scarcity.
lack or scarcity.
Yeah.
You see the abundance right now. So, yeah.
It's amazing. This feels like a really synchronous podcast.
It does. It really does.
It's freaking blowing my mind, the love life. I'm like still reeling.
I didn't know if I was going to say it on the podcast. I don't know if I was going to have a conversation afterwards, but I'm like, I just have to say it.
It's extraordinary.
It is, isn't it? Yeah. Oh, well, we'll leave it.
I love that stuff though, because I feel like there's threads of that remind you you're on path.
Yeah.
And again, this is so relevant to our topic, because how much of that was an unconscious manifestation of what is now conscious? Right? Like on some level, that's been a seed planted. And as it's grown, it's had a thread. And now there's a conscious form of that.
So we will leave you with more questions and answers today, like we often do. But if you want to keep asking those questions with us and having those little epiphanies, then come join us in Soul Driven Motherhood.
Yes.
And remember to nourish the woman, to rock the family.
And we'll see you next week when we continue to peel back the layers on your mothering journey. And if you want to support Nourishing the Mother and all the late nights, the early mornings, the blood, sweat and tears we pour into our art, then please go to patreon.com/NTM podcast and become our patron. As a patron, you're helping all of the cost of operating this podcast, the hosting, the editing, the transcription, helping all of that be completely covered, and joining a community who are all about honouring our journeys and continuing to open. The more support we have, the longer we can last. So become a patron. We'd love to have you. Go to patreon.com/NTM podcast. We literally couldn't do this without you. Thank you so much for listening, and please share this podcast with anyone you think it would be medicine for.
This has been a production of TheWellnessCouch.com. Check us out on Facebook and join in the conversation on Facebook.com/TheWellnessCouch. Subscribe to each show on iTunes and check us out on Twitter. The Wellness Couch, streaming wellness into your lives. Whilst the Wellness Couch presenter endeavor to provide accurate and helpful information to their listeners, these podcasts cannot take into account individual circumstances and are not intended to be a substitute for health and medical advice from a qualified health professional. You should always seek the advice of a qualified health professional before acting on any of the information provided by any of the Wellness Couch podcasts.